as a thank you to everyone for your support, we will send you a autograph book. A lot of people get into the how and they get overwhelmed by the process, don't know where to start. It could be a diet, it could be a workout, it could be investing in a business, you name it. You want to make sure the business has systems in place. You want to make sure the business doesn't rely on you 100% of the time and that you're putting in so many hours a week.
Welcome to the Franchise Freedom Podcast, where you can escape the corporate trap through franchise ownership. Here's your host, Giuseppe Grammatico, the Franchise Guide.
Welcome to the Franchise Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Giuseppe Grammatico, your franchise guide, the show where we help corporate execs experience time and financial freedom via franchising. Really excited. Today is episode or show number 200. Really excited. We've made it. Fun little fact, we started, I think it was about end of January of 2020, so right before COVID really hit. And it's been 4 years, 200 episodes. We've probably been on about 100 other guest appearances on other podcast episodes, and just really excited. I wanted to create a special show for today. I was really kind of thinking of a topic, and I said, why not kind of go back and look at the previous episodes and really go through kind of key takeaways, and we'll call today's episode 5 key takeaways from 200 episodes in the podcast world. So I also another fun fact: we actually just started with audio in the very beginning. So it wasn't until the first couple dozen episodes is when we started adding video. So if you go back and take a look at the show, you don't see those first videos available on YouTube. Everything is right on the main website. So thanks for joining us today. So today I wanted to cover really 5 key takeaways from 200 episodes of the Franchise Freedom Podcast. Another fun fact, actually, from those first couple episodes, we were able to write a book. So our book, same title, Franchise Freedom, New Manifesto for Your Financial and Time Freedom, was actually created from those first 5 or so episodes that we created. So we decided to transcribe them, had a copywriter, and put together that book, which is a quick read. And we'll talk about more of that about the book later. So key takeaway number 1, and this is something that I use, and it was a key concept or topic, I should say, that a lot of our guests would talk about, is that in decision making, right? And this is just decision making in general, whether you're looking at a franchise or looking to buy a home, an investment, any type of decision, really kind of start with the end in mind. Really figuring out what is that end goal, and then figuring out who can help me get there. Before the how. You really want to leverage people's experiences and helping you get there. We did a show, top three ways to make a decision in life and in business, that we'll post here, which talks about this topic in greater detail. We also had a really good show with Kyle Andrews from Patrice and Associates. We helped Kyle a few years back find and invest in a executive recruitment type of franchise. We'll put his show on there. It was entitled Employee to Employer, the story of Kyle Andrews. So we'll put that on there. It was really exciting, kind of talking about, working with him, had that end in mind, what he was looking to accomplish, and then discussing really the various vehicles to get you there. The second, topic that we talked about, which is in relation here to the first, is, with the end in mind, a lot of people get into the how and they get overwhelmed by the process, don't know where to start. And many people just don't start at all. It could be a diet, it could be a workout, it could be investing in a business, it could be changing jobs, you name it. So, seeking professional advice was the key takeaway. We had a great show with my good friend, Henry Lopez. We've been on each other's shows for a while. And that was entitled Helping You Start, Grow, Run Your Small Business. We'll put that in the show notes here. But Henry's great, business coach, has been a franchisee, helps others, in the business coaching side, startup, franchise, you name it. Seeking advice from a professional that's owned businesses. We've had Tara Thomas from Fran Fund talking about, what are my funding options to purchase a franchise? Again, professionals that can really help you figure out If the funding is there and what are the options, great. But if the options aren't there, what is that plan of attack in order to get approved? Because obviously, in order to make a decision, everything has to kind of fall in line. So if you got 4 out of 5 things and that last thing is funding, let's focus and double down. Followed by, I had a great show with Houston Barnes where we talked about the franchise disclosure document. Houston, his primary role is really reviewing franchise disclosure documents, working with potential franchisees, again, seeking professional advice and helping you in that decision, letting you know if there's any issues or questions and things like that. So that was another great episode we did amongst others. I would love to touch on all the episodes. There's just not enough time today, but I wanted to touch on those, and I'll put all those in the show notes here in the show. Another really popular kind of thing, when I'm going through the shows was, life is about the journey. And this is something that sometimes, I lose track of. You start getting really, it's the journey, not the destination. And just thinking about, okay, what's the end goal? And not enjoying, that journey, that process. So I'm guilty of it as well. We had 2 great guests. Dave Moskowitz was on the show. Richard DiBiase. It was called 2 New Entrepreneurs Talk About Their First Year in Business. One of our top downloaded episodes on Buzzsprout to date, which is great. We actually revisited the show, so it's been listed twice, and you can catch that on iTunes or YouTube, or we'll put the link in here. But they talked about the journey from police officers to franchise owners to podcast hosts, and talking about the journey, talking about leaving Canada to open a business in the States with Richard DiBiase, which is actually more of a recent conversation we had, which we'll talk about and probably have him back on the show. But some really good stuff, just talking about that journey, enjoying it, and some life lessons learned along the way. Mindset and experience is key. That would be key takeaway number 4. One of the things that we had talked about going back to who to ask for help versus the how is being very careful of who we're asking. And I'm guilty of this for advice, asking for business advice for someone that maybe never owned the business. So being very careful, talking to people that have done this before, seeking advice from people that not only do you find successful and look up to, but their goals are aligned to yours as well. Some people are looking not to make tens and hundreds of millions of dollars. They're looking for financial freedom, but more important, that time freedom to be home every night, to be able to go to the soccer games, the dance recitals, and the Girl Scouts events and all that kind of stuff. So we've had some really good. We had Tracy Trapesky talking about the importance of mindset as well. Really going into this as opposed to, okay, how am I going to go about my journey of finding that business, with the end in mind. And the mindset is absolutely key. I used to have a scarcity mindset, and we talked about that with Tracy, which is now more of an abundance, mindset. That scarcity mindset. Not enough people to talk to, not enough people interested in past experiences. I was in the investment world, or now in the franchise world, to more of an abundance. There's plenty to go around, more than enough to keep everyone busy. And that's crucial especially when owning a business, kind of trying to figure out the next steps, what to do in the business, what other businesses to invest in. So, mindset and experience are key. And then the last is, and this is a good friend of mine, and we've gotten really close over the years, Rocky Lalvani from Profit First, is pay yourself first. At the end of the day, we want the business to, as this vehicle, to create a lot of things, but at the end of the day, you need to make some money, right? This is there's a profit center here. Rocky talks about paying yourself first, not basically revenue, paying all your expenses and keeping what's left, but really paying yourself first, right? Paying yourself a fair salary, because just like any other business, there's always going to be things you can spend money on. So he breaks it into multiple buckets. That has been a game changer for me. As someone that comes from the investment and finance world, really never was exposed to this, but really breaking it down so that every quarter, you can even do it every month, exactly the taxes that you owe, or I should say the estimates, how much you're putting aside towards marketing. Is it 10%? Great. Do you have you gone over? Are you under? What does that look like? And making sure you pay yourself, because as I mentioned, there's always shiny new objects and services and things we can, pay for. And, at the end of the day, we do have to make a profit in order to stay afloat and pay our bills and expenses. Followed by a really popular episode, and an episode that I refer to quite a few people. Another good friend of mine, David C. Barnett, on exit strategies. And David's been a broker. David's a consultant, a coach, helping people turn their business around, helping people sell their businesses, and talking about exit strategies. And the key takeaway in this area is basically you don't, start deciding, a month or two before selling the business. That's when you prepare. You actually prepare day one. You want to make sure the business has systems in place. You want to make sure the business doesn't rely on you 100% of the time, and that you're putting in so many hours a week, because in order to sell it, that buyer or that investor in the business is going to want to take over the systems in place. They may not want to put in that time. And if that's not the case, and that previous owner had put in the time, they're going to have to, remove some of the earnings in order to replace that with a manager or a general manager to run the day-to-day. So David does a really good job talking about, you buy the business, you get it up and running. That's when you start preparing for the exit strategy, from things like watching the expenses to your role in the business, systematizing and automating where you can, again, so you don't have to be involved 100% of the time in the business, but also you don't become a bottleneck in the business. And that was a key takeaway. That was combined with profit first and exit strategies. Some really good stuff there. And as I mentioned, 200 episodes that we've done. We revisited a dozen or so, and just had a great time, and going to continue with this. We're talking about maybe in the next year or two writing a second version of the book, Franchise Freedom. And I'm open to suggestions and ideas. So if you guys are looking for a topic or an idea, would love to create a brand new show. I wanted to thank everyone for their support. Without your support, this show wouldn't be here. And we put the content out there to answer your questions. Sometimes someone may contact me. I'll refer them to a show. We're breaking things up with shorts and things like that. But if you want to go a little bit deeper, the shows go deeper on the various topics. And you can, obviously watch those videos as you see fit on your own time. And always reach out. I'm a phone call away. Our services are free to you. We're paid by the franchise company. So there's never a cost for our service. So even if you're not certain of the timing or certain about the financials, we can definitely have a chat. We do a 20-minute call with anyone that is interested, and we put together a game plan and say, okay, maybe the timing isn't right due to financials, or the timing isn't right due to time. You got a lot of personal stuff going through, a brand new job, and you're traveling. That's fine. We put together a plan and we revisit, every so many months. So again, here to help. And I want to, as a thank you to everyone for your support, want to give everyone a copy. First 50 people that respond and message me with the word book. Actually, better yet, Franchise Freedom. So anyone that responds with Franchise Freedom, we will send you a autographed book. So send us a message. We'll and an email. We'll reach out to you, get your address. We'll mail you a hard copy of the book, autographed by myself. And for the first 50 people that send us Franchise Freedom. So you can message on any of the platforms that you're seeing the show: YouTube, Instagram, X, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok. We're on just about everything, or even on the website, on the blog. First 50 people, Franchise Freedom, will get you a hard copy signed for myself. And follow up if you have any questions on the book or just in business in general. Be more than glad to help everyone out. So very excited. Thanks again for your support. Thank you again for all your questions. Again, without your questions, which is a big chunk of the show, is addressing questions and concerns, this show probably wouldn't hit 200 episodes. So thank you very much. Looking forward to the next 200, and let me know if there's a topic we have not covered. I'm revisiting some older topics as I realize 200 is a lot to go through. So we may revisit some topics. We're covering things such as franchise myths, things that you get with the franchise that you may not have thought of. We talk about just about everything, along the lines, what I look for in a franchise when I started my journey 20 years ago, and how that's different today. And little teaser, not much of a difference, but we talk about key characteristics. The exact same things that I did to find my franchise, you can follow the exact same process. So we're going to outline that for you. So guys, we're an open book. Ask away. We would love to help, and hopefully, we'll answer one of your questions, or maybe have you on the show. If you'd like to be on the show, send us a message, and if it's a good fit, we'll definitely invite you on the show. Again, thanks again. Big 200. Looking forward to another 200 episodes, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in. If you want to learn how to make the transition from corporate to owning your franchise, join Giuseppe on the next episode. You can also follow on all social media platforms and achieve financial and time freedom today.